Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Throne of Steel 2 episode number 7 based on novel. So let's start. Long Dangdang's whole body turned into green, surrounded by brilliant blue. His forehead, there was also a cyan blue pattern that resembled a whirlwind shining brightly. All the wind elements began to coil around him, passing through him, blooming brilliance on the surface of his body, washing his body again and again. Long Dangdang only felt that he began to become lighter, as if his whole body had been immersed in a free world. He had become a part of those free winds, fluttering with them, and soaring freely together. Standing on the edge of the cliff, Zi Qianwu looked at this scene with piercing eyes. Apprentice, they all say that I am proud of you, master, but my pride seems to be nothing compared to yours. I just said the innate magic and spiritual power is higher than yours, yet you actually gave me such a statement, saying that the children of the elements are the children of the elements. Are you a little reserved? Long Dangdang's body slowly descended, and gradually landed on the ground against the blue light. At this moment, he was like a feather without half. Cyan body has become completely transparent, as clear as a piece of cyan crystal. Zi Qianwu came to his side and silently guarded him. Suddenly, he smiled. Just now, Hai Jifeng plausibly said that his disciple's knight talent is better, and he should become a knight. When he comes tomorrow, he can slap him in the face. As soon as he raised his hand, the 7 crystals were thrown and flew around Long Dangdang's body, suspended in the represent the 7 elements of water, fire, earth, wind, light, darkness, and space, which are the 7 elements that are compatible with Long Dangdang. There is no doubt that the test crystal used by Zi Qianwu is much better than the standard test. In the magic 7 crystals were quickly lit up one by one, bursting out with dazzling brilliance. With a sweep of Zi Qianwu's mental power, she could feel the numbers represented in these crystals. The light of that cyan crystal is exceptionally bright, obviously surpassing the other 6 types of crystals. That's right, the innate magic spiritual power of the other 6 elements is still 84, but at this time, Long Dangdang's innate magic spiritual power has 6 points more, but it can only be used on the wind. Is to say, simply talking about the wind attribute, his current talent has been promoted to a higher level, the son of the elements, son of the wind element. Zi Qianwu raised her head proudly, and murmured, I am also a disciple of the son of elements. Ha 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 ha. With the help of the other 6 elements, my disciple will completely inherit my mantle. No, I have to work hard, don't be surpassed by my apprentice in a few decades. After an entire hour, the blue color on Long Dangdang's body gradually faded. When he opened his eyes again, his eyes turned blue, and the blue light flickered, which was very strange. Teacher? Seeing the smiling Zi Qianwu in front of him, Long Dangdang hurriedly saluted. How do you feel? Zi Qianwu asked. Long Dangdang silently felt the changes in his body, and said, it seems that the body has become much lighter. The wind element induction has also become clearer. Yes, under the guidance of the teacher, you have comprehended the true meaning of the wind element. It seems that my vision is very correct. You are indeed more suitable to become a wind magician. Your current wind element's innate attribute has been enhanced by 6 points, has reached the level of the child of the element, as if it is equivalent to a body with a natural wind element. The other attributes have not changed. In the future, you can take the road of majoring in the wind element and minoring in other attributes like me. Have you increased the inner magic power by 6 points? That is to say, my total magic power is now closer to 100. The magician's spiritual power evaluation does not count the external spiritual. 100 points is the symbol for a magician to be promoted from the first level to the second. Has been meditating for the past few days and doesn't know how much magical spiritual power he has increased. This increase of 6 points should not be far from 100. Zi Qianwu's facial muscles trembled. Is this your focus? Can elemental spiritual power compare with ordinary spiritual power? However, he didn't say much. These are not key. Is that he is really satisfied with his disciple's comprehension of the wind fact. He didn't do anything. Everyone has become the son of wind element. No matter how picky the teacher is, he can only admire him. Okay, about spiritual power, you can go back and meditate slowly to accumulate. Your innate magical spiritual power and innate internal spiritual power are both very good. When you meditate, both of them will be strengthened. In a sense, they actually have the same goal by different routes, but when they are used, they are guided in different ways, thus producing different effects. Therefore, you don't need to regard them as 2 kinds of energy, but they are actually one in your body. However, the innate value represents the talent. When you improve your cultivation, you will find that your total spiritual power can be used for magic spiritual power and inner spiritual power. But how to switch between them depends on you adding more I have practiced. It is not that there is no multi-professional training in the temple, but generally speaking, it is difficult to achieve great achievements, because only those with a single talent who are weak will choose to practice multi-professions at the same time. You are a special case. In the future, you can also feel whether you are suitable for dual-class cultivation through continuous improvement, or switch to a single class, or whether one class is the main class and the other class is assisted. Well, from the current point of view, your magic talent is obviously better. The son of the wind element, the innate magical power of the wind attribute is 87, although the difference between dash and dash is only 3 points, but that is a world of difference. Do you understand? Well, understand. Long Dang Dang nodded. Ziqianwu said with satisfaction, okay, today the teacher will teach you the first magic. While speaking, Ziqianwu raised his hand, and immediately, in front of him, crescent-shaped cyan wind blade had already condensed into shape. This wind blade is 1 meter in diameter, which is extremely this time. Long Dang Dang's sensitivity to wind elements had been greatly enhanced, so he could feel more clearly that in this huge wind blade, the wind elements seemed to have completely lost their freedom and were densely arranged. Tell me how you feel. Ziqianwu asked. Long Dang Dang said, the wind elements seem to have lost their freedom. The orderly arrangement seems to be somewhat inconsistent with the characteristics of the wind elements themselves. Ziqianwu smiled and said, you are right. When we cast magic, the most important thing is to use the characteristics of the elements. For example, when the fire element bursts, let it release magic in the form of an explosion, which is more powerful. This wind blade is under my control, and the elements are arranged neatly. For the element characteristics themselves, of course, it is the opposite. But if you think about it, if in this case, when it touches the opponent, my control over it disappear, what will happen? Explode. Long Dang Dang almost blurted out. Ziqianwu said, smart. Ordinary magicians use this method when casting wind blades. They condense the wind elements together and then release them. After touching the enemy, the control is released and the wind elements explode. Cutting. But the wind element I want to teach you is not like this. Because this method consumes a lot of magic power, but the power is not enough. While speaking, the wind blade in front of him shook slightly, and unexpectedly a small wind blade came out, just like the miniature version of the big wind blade. With a wave of Ziqianwu's hand, the small wind blade flew out, and a blue light bloomed about 30 meters away and slowly dissipated. Ziqianwu said, this wind blade can be used by your level of cultivation, and it needs to consume about 5 to 10 points of spiritual power. The stronger your control, the less spiritual power you will consume. The same is true for power, from 10 meters to 50 meters. That's it without factoring in the compression of the elements. Look at this. Ziqianwu gently rubbed the thumb and index finger of his right hand, and a blue light that was only 1/3 the size of the previous wind blade flew away like lightning, but the speed was twice as fast as that of the previous wind. The ear-piercing sound of cracking the air, 50 meters away, the blue light burst out and disappeared in a flash. This is the wind blade I want to teach you. It only needs to consume 1/3 of the spiritual power, but it is twice as powerful. It is also in the absence of elemental compression. Long Dang Dang murmured, you didn't seem to have the ability to suppress the wind element just now? Ziqianwu smiled, that's right, guidance is always more important than suppression. Free wind also has its free direction. When wind elements flying in different directions collide together, they can produce more powerful forces. Either it explodes due to collision, or it pours under the guidance. My wind blade mainly attracts 3 wind elements. The 2 collide and 1 drives it. Its attack power may not be strong, but it is more powerful than wind blade, but the principle is the same. You feel it again. As he spoke, he rubbed his fingers again. This time, the wind blade was several times stronger than before, flying a full 100 meters away. This is a combination of 9 wind elements. In the future, when your mental control is stronger and you can compress the wind elements, its power will be even stronger. If you want to become an excellent wind magician, you must know how to control. That's enough, but if you want to become a Dharma god, you need to be able to guide it. While speaking, he grabbed Long Dang Dang's right hand. Close your eyes and feel. Long Dang Dang closed his eyes and concentrated on feeling the changes in his Qianwu. Led his palm to draw a small arc in the air, and Long Dang Dang immediately felt that among the many wind elements, 3 wind elements were surrounded by these 3 wind elements were attracted. Their own characteristics were clearly presented in Long Dang Dang's perception. The 3 wind elements were like 3 small vortexes, each with its own direction of rotation. Under Zi Qianwu's guidance, two of the whirlwinds touched each other positively and backwardly, and the other wind element exploded in the center the moment they touched. Immediately, the two wind elements rotating in opposite directions erupted with powerful energy at the moment of contact, but were pushed out by the wind element that erupted at the same ray of blue light quietly dissipated after flying 10 meters away. If you want the magical elements you condense to turn into magic, what you need is control. Good control requires good elemental awareness. If you are not a child of the wind element, then, if you want to feel the direction of the wind element's rotation, you must be at least the third level in the future. The wind blade of my method will not be able to be used until that time. Now, you can try it. You remember, every bit of magic power of a magician is extremely precious. A magician who doesn't know how to save and calculate magic power, not a good wizard. It wasn't until night fell that Zi Qianwu's teaching to Long Dang 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 also tried to control the wind blade for a success. There will always be problems of one kind, or release of mental power is strong, and it is forced to control, and the power of the wind blade is less control. The wind element exploded directly in the hand, and the fingers were cut. Zi Qianwu's teaching was very strict. After a day, Long Dang Dang was brought back to the dormitory by Zi Qianwu. He was already groggy. Looking at her disciple, a smile flashed in Zi Qianwu's eyes. What a genius fears most is pride. He has suffered a lot in this. Although he never thought of changing his character, he did not want his disciples to repeat the same mistakes. He became the son of the wind element at once, and he was also afraid that his disciple would swell, so the wind blade, which was originally finely controlled, had to wait until at least the third level to teach him magic, but it became a direct teaching, for the purpose of letting him. Long Dang Dang understands that becoming a magician is not that simple, and talent doesn't mean everything. Okay, you can meditate and rest. The reckless guy will come tomorrow. This guy is nicknamed the Reckless Knight, and he is very strange in the Night Temple. He and Go Knight Nei are two extremes. There you have to pay attention to learning from each other's strengths. You can learn attack and burst from Mang Knight, and learn footwork and block from Go Knight. Speaking of which, if their two characteristics can be integrated, it shouldn't be a problem to enter the top 3 in the Temple of Knights. If you are big, you will have a chance to fight for a God-sealed throne. If possible in the future, the God-sealed throne cannot be let go. Yes, teacher. Long Dang Dang agreed in a daze. Zi Qianwu walked up to him and stuffed a pill into his mouth. Just meditate, no need to eat. Long Dang Dang managed to sit cross-legged. At this time, his spirit was very weak, and he had a splitting headache from controlling the elements for a day. Zi Qianwu was satisfied and left. He and Hai Jifeng would teach alone for a day, so they should take up more energy of the apprentices. Waves of warmth spread from the lower abdomen to the whole body. The feeling of fatigue and headache gradually disappeared, and soon, Long Dang Dang entered a state of forgetting both things and me. As the night gradually darkened, Long Dang Dang, whose expression had recovered to be stable, gradually glowed a faint blue color. The cyan swirl pattern appeared on the forehead again, and at the same time, there were cyan patterns intertwined like a grid on the body. In the early morning, just after dawn, Long Dang Dang was awakened by a low knock on the door. After a night of meditation, plus the pills given by teacher Zitianwu yesterday, he felt full of energy at this moment. More importantly, he could already clearly feel the existence of his own spiritual. Qianwu told him yesterday that this point is very important for a magician, and it is a real introduction. Opening the door of the dormitory room, Hai Jifeng was already standing at the door. At this time, the Reckless Knight no longer had any traces left by his fight with Zi Qianwu yesterday. Mr. Hai, good morning. Long Dang Dang greeted hurriedly. Yeah. Punch me. Hai Jifeng patted his chest. Ah? Long Dang Dang was taken aback. Go all out, mobilize all the power you can use, and punch me. I want to see your current level. Hai Jifeng said a little coldly. Oh well. Long Dang Dang took a deep breath, swung his fist suddenly, and punched Hai Jifeng in the chest. With a soft bang, Long Dang Dang felt as if he had been hit on an iron plate. The strong countershock made him fall back, and his right hand was in severe pain. The total spiritual power is over 100. Hai Jifeng nodded. I don't care what Zi Qianwu teaches you, but you must learn what I teach you. I will conduct an assessment on you every week, and if you fail the assessment. At this point, a coldness flashed in the eyes of the Holy Knight. Man, the hairs on Long Dang Dang's back stand erect. What I want to teach you today is that offense is the best defense. You don't need to learn too much from Nei. The only thing that is worthwhile is his footwork. Everything else is rubbish. While speaking, light flashed in his hand, and he already had 2 long handles are heavy swords, 4 feet long, and the broad blades are dark and dull. These 2 swords are for you to use for cultivation. The right sword weighs 36 katis, and the left sword weighs 32 katis. Your task this week is to be able to use them to fight. Long Dang Dang hesitated for a moment and said, Mr. Hai, it's like this. I have integrated the holy spiritual furnace before, so should I be a guardian knight? Haijifeng gave him a cold look. What kind of guardian knight? Pull the holy spirit stove over and kill, same thing. Just be a punishment knight. I am a punishment knight. Okay. Long Dang Dang didn't dare to say more, took over the two epis, and suddenly his hand sank, dang dang, twice, and the tip of the epi hit the ground. Holding such a heavy knight's sword in one hand, he was really not used to it. With all the strength, he barely picked up the sword again. Haijifeng's figure suddenly disappeared, and the next moment, Long Dang Dang only felt a palm pressed against his vest. Remember, every muscle in your body has a role to play, and the coordination of your body comes from the control of all muscles, the stretching of ligaments, and the elasticity of tendons. Carefully feel the changes in the strength of muscles, and try to control them. Infuse them with inner spiritual power, and let your weapons and your body become one. When you can do only when the body and mind are united can we have the foundation of a knight. Some domineering hot air flowed into Long Dang Dang's body along with his narration. Long Dang Dang only felt that his spiritual power was naturally activated by Haijifeng, his muscles were trembling, and the spiritual power in his body was coordinating with his hurriedly tried his best to remember this feeling, and the epi in his hand seemed to gradually become a little lighter. Hack, driven by Haijifeng, he completed a double sword slashing epi passed by with the sound of woohoo. Remember this feeling, remember the muscle changes and the mobilization of spiritual power when exerting force. In this process, all changes in your body are important components. Driven by Haijifeng, Long Dang Dang completed 3 slashes. With the palm back, Haijifeng said lightly, "You do it yourself." Yes. Long Dang Dang agreed, took a deep breath, mobilized the spiritual power, and transmitted the force upwards from the waist, driving the back muscles with the waist, and then to the shoulders, upper arms, and the end, the moment when the double swords were swung, the spiritual power poured into the double swords, and the epi whizzed out, chopping down. The epi slashed in midair with a low whistling sound, and stopped a foot from the ground, the blade trembling slightly. Long Dang Dang looked at Haijifeng. "Teacher, is that right?" A look of surprise flashed across Haijifeng's. If a 10-year-old child has hundreds of spiritual powers, it is not so easy for him to use this double S. The same even if you have the muscle memory that you just drove is not an easy task to control the epi that weighs nearly 70. Wasn't surprised that Long Dang Dang could swing the epi, but it was not easy to be able to hover in the air under control, just like he had driven him to slash with his own hands. Justice is not controlled by muscles, but by spiritual muscles. Couldn't possibly have that kind of strength. Continue. Haijifeng said lightly. Long Dang Dang concentrated again and chopped again. The epi once again completed a double sword slashing action. Compared with before, it seemed that the control was a little bit better. How did he do that? A trace of doubt flashed in Haijifeng's simple chopping. What is needed is comprehensive ability. Continue. Long Dang Dang slashed again, and gradually, his body began to tremble. A vigor and spiritual power are both limited, and it is not easy to operate such an epi. After chopping 20 times, he finally couldn't control it, and the epi hit the ground. Take a break for 10 minutes and continue. Haijifeng said lightly. Long Dang Dang said weakly, "Teacher, I'm going to class later. I asked you for leave. You don't need to go to class during this period, and Zi Tianwu will teach you the basics." Haijifeng said coldly. Long Dang's heart twitched. Training with this reckless knight made him feel like he was walking on thin ice. This guy's temper is not very good. Not daring to be negligent, he hurriedly put away the epi and sat cross-legged on the spot, using his spiritual power to this time. His arms were already very sore, and even his waist and back were sore and uncomfortable. The previous palms were pressed against his back again, and Haijifeng's voice came from next to his ears. The meditation of a magician is to guide the power of heaven and earth and the power of elements through spiritual power to improve spiritual power, and the practice of a knight is to develop spiritual power. Self-potential and absorbing the vitality of heaven and earth to enhance spiritual power. The two lead to the same goal. One pays more attention to spiritual guidance and the other pays more attention to self-absorption. When you meditate, you have to find the way that suits you best. The two spiritual powers are actually the same energy, different applications. Your innate magical spiritual power is weaker than your innate internal spiritual power, which means that your spiritual guidance is not as good as your own absorption. I think that when you can balance the two in the future, your internal spiritual power will still have it is promoted to achieve a state of balance between the two. You must pay attention during the cultivation process. Warm spiritual energy poured into his body, driving Long Dang Dang's own spiritual power to circulate, and after a week, his whole body was completely sore and swollen. Continue. Your task today is to chop and chop 1,000 times. When night fell and Long Dang Dang finally completed today's task, his whole body was so limp that he didn't even want to move a finger. The more you practice when your body reaches its limit, the more you can improve your spiritual willpower. It is also the best time to stimulate your own potential. Meditation. Long Kong Kong hadn't seen his brother for 2 days, and he couldn't even find him in the cafeteria while eating. He wanted to go to the dormitory to look for him, but was stopped by Nay. Today is already Friday, and tomorrow is the assessment. Kong Kong decided to go to Long Dang Dang for whatever he said, and discuss countermeasures with him. So, today he deliberately got up early and came to Long Dang Dang's dormitory. When he knocked on the door, he saw Long Dang Dang with a tired face. I haven't seen him for 2 days. My brother seems to have lost weight, and even his eyes are full of fatigue. What are you doing here? Are you broken in love? Long Kong Kong asked curiously. Long Dang Dang rolled his eyes and said angrily, I'm tired from cultivation. It's early in the morning. What are you doing? I managed to take a day off today. Long Kong Kong said, isn't it for tomorrow's assessment? Brother, what should we do? There are 900 people in the whole first grade. If they all come to hunt us down, it will be the end of the calf. Long Dang Dang pulled him into the dormitory. I have an idea. With ourselves alone, we definitely have no chance at all. The gang fights have wiped us out, so we need to unite forces that can be united. At this stage, everyone Jutsai has just entered school, and they don't have much strength yet. In this kind of assessment, the third department of warriors must have an advantage. With external spiritual power, they can hardly compete with the third department of magic. But even the third department of warriors can't compete. It won't be too strong. We are the monitors of our own class. Can we give it a try and combine the strengths of our 2 classes first? According to what Mr. Nae said before, the head teacher will not participate in helping us make the assessment plan. Then, Daddy, most classes should be based on the class, that is, a group of people. If we can become a group of people, we will naturally have an advantage. The key is that you have to convince the students in your class that they are willing to join our class. Let's work together a little bit, find a way to meet up with everyone, and then break through one by one. The results should not be too bad. Convince our class to agree to form an alliance with your class? It's easy, leave it to me. Long Kong Kong said confidently. Long Dang Dang said, it's not just as simple as persuasion. There is also the distribution of benefits later. When you get more points, how to distribute is also very important. If you don't handle it well, it will be difficult for everyone to get together again in the future. Long Kong Kong curled his lips and said, what's the matter, just leave it to me. I will naturally have a solution at that time. Then it's settled, you go tell your class, I will go and finish our class today. At noon, the 2 of us check it out again. Okay. When Long Dang Dang walked into the first magic class, he was greeted with strange eyes from all the students in the hall. The school has just started, and he is a genius recognized by the academy, the monitor of magic class, but he asked for leave for 2 consecutive days. Is this normal? Long Dang Dang silently walked to his seat and sat down. Aisha, who was at the same table beside him, turned to look at him, and said in a low voice, why have you been there these 2 days? Long Dang Dang shook his head with a wry smile. Seeing that he didn't speak, Aisha couldn't help being stunned for a moment, but still quietly pushed a notebook onto his desk, notes for the past 2 days. Long Dang Dang looked at her in surprise, and said softly, thank you. Aisha just smiled and shook her head. Just when Long Dang Dang was about to open the notebook to take a look, a girl sitting obliquely in front of him suddenly turned her head and placed a notebook on his desk. Long Dang Dang was stunned, and at the next moment, several girls stood up in succession, walked over quickly, and put the notebooks in front of, the magic notebooks of the 8 prettiest girls in the class. More importantly, he has seen all 8 of these notebooks. Yes, they were borrowed by Long Kong Kong that time. Long Dang Dang clenched his fists. He just felt that he was dead, especially when he felt the unfriendly eyes of the boys in the class. He wanted to cry without Kong Kong, I want to kill you. He secretly swore in his heart that no matter what, Long Kong Kong would not be allowed to come to the magic class again. At this moment, Sayu walked in from the weird atmosphere in the class returned to normal. Sayu also saw Long Dang Dang at a glance. A trace of surprise flashed in his eyes, but there was also a bit of joy. The squad leader is back? It's just right. Sayu walked to the podium without a smile on her face, and said in a deep voice, everyone knows that tomorrow you will have your first assessment after entering school. Whether you think it in your heart or not, this assessment is appropriate and you must participate in the assessment. The points you get in the assessment will be closely related to your final grades. Therefore, no matter what, you must go all out. According to the requirements of the college, this assessment will be completely up to you to participate in. The teacher cannot give any advice or guidance, so this time it is up to everyone. Today's main task is to discuss how to deal with this assessment. Long Dang Dang, you will moderate the discussion. I will listen from the sidelines, but I will not give you opinions and suggestions. Long Dang Dang hurriedly stood up, okay. While speaking, he had already walked towards the podium. Although he had not been in school for a long time, his shyness was much less tortured by the 2 days of Zitianwu told him was that it would not be a big problem to use the magic he just learned to deal with. The Haijifeng told him was that he must win. Neither of these two said what the consequences of failing the assessment would be, but it was obvious that there would be no good fruit to eat. Hi everyone. I'm really sorry. I didn't come to class these 2 days, because something went wrong when I condensed the elements that day. The teacher of the academy guided me to practice, and I just recovered yesterday. Long Dang Dang said calmly. The assessment is about to take place. I have been thinking about the assessment for the past few days. I believe everyone is the same. They are all thinking about how to pass the assessment. Then, I believe you can also imagine it. For our magic class, the assessment this time is very difficult, and under normal circumstances, we would not even have the possibility of passing it. As soon as this remark came out, there was a certain commotion in the hall. Couldn't help whispering. Okay, be quiet, listen to the squad leader. Yu gave a little mental shock. When everyone calmed down, Long Dang Dang continued, it's not just us, all the 15 classes of the 3rd Magic Department will not have very good results in this assessment. Because this assessment is very important for our Magic 3, it is unfair for the 3 departments of close combat. All 3 departments of melee have external spiritual power, and they have a physique of practice. Even if they have not learned the skills and knowledge of their professions, their individual strength is far superior to those of us who are physically weak. For us, most of the students don't even have the ability to cast even a basic magic, and it's even more difficult to get points. This time, most of the classmates, even those boys who were somewhat hostile to him, nodded. They had thought of all these, and were dissatisfied with the assessment because of this. It's really unfair, but isn't this a test for us by the academy? As we all know, our magicians will have the strongest attack power among all professions in the future. Such an assessment is unfair now, but if in a few years, the same assessment, it will be our turn to prevail. Therefore, I guess the academy is giving overall fairness, not every moment of fairness. Especially under such circumstances, if we can get good enough grades, the more we can demonstrate our excellence, and the more we can get the college's resources in teaching. Therefore, the first thing I hope is that everyone will not give up this assessment in their hearts, and have firm determination pass the test. What's the use of being determined? We can't even use magic. A boy in the front row couldn't help complaining. Long Dang Dang nodded and said, next, I'll talk about how to deal with it. First of all, please tell me that anyone can use magic now. Any kind of magic is fine. Students who can use magic, please stand up. His gaze swept to the students. Yu looked at Long Dang Dang from the side, with a smile on her face. She was satisfied with Long Dang Dang's ability to control the whole class has unconsciously been mobilized by him. Magic Class 1 is indeed the gathering place for outstanding first-year students of the Magic Student Stud. It's only been a week since they entered school, and there are already 8 students who are able to use magic, whether it's their family background or their talents. To Long Dang Dang's embarrassment, among the 8 students who stood up, 6 had given him notebooks. Just also includes Aisha at the same table. Please tell me the magic you can use now, and the number of times. Little fireball. Use it 3 times in a row, and you should be able to give it more time to rest. Water bomb, 4 times. Shooting stones, 4 times. Wind blade, 3 times. When it was Aisha's turn, she said softly. She is friendly with the wind element. Looking at her delicate and pretty face, Long Dang subconsciously nodded. To has only been 2 days since the school started, and the only person he is familiar with is this deskmate. The 8 students respectively mentioned the magic they can use them is a classmate with affinity for light elements who can only use remaining 7 kinds of magic are also the most basic kind, weak in lethality. Okay, everyone please sit down. Long Dang Dang sat down the 8 students and continued, I believe that all classes will participate in this assessment as a unit because everyone's individual strength is too small. But even so, for our legal system, it is still difficult. There are also many difficulties. We can't even stop the charge of professions such as knights and warriors. So, my suggestion is to find allies. Let us cooperate with melee combat to get better results. Another boy said, will the close combat department be willing to join forces with us? Are you afraid that we will drag you down? Long Dang Dang said, today's drag is the future output. I will try my best to convince them. Today they help us complete the assessment, and it won't be long before all of us can use magic and have a certain lethality, then we are the most reliable ally behind them. This boy is also one of the 8 people who can cast magic. He frowned and said, but, don't forget, you won't be with us after the assessment begins. Also, do you have a goal? Which class and we unite? Long Dang Dang said, of course it's the first class of knights, and my brother is the squad leader of the first class of knights. As soon as this remark came out, the students were a little moved, as if they were the best students in the Academy of Magic, and the knight class gathered the best knight temple is recognized as the #1 temple. Long Dang Dang said, if the knights are not afraid of our dragging down, they are willing to fight side by side with us. Are you willing? If you are willing, please raise your hand. The minority obeys the majority. After a little hesitation, he raised his palms. One by there is really a powerful melee class willing to help, then the probability of passing the assessment will undoubtedly increase significantly. There were 30 people in the class, and more than people raised their hands. Okay, then it's settled, the first squad of knights will give us news today. Long Dang Dang, I want to ask. If we join forces with the knights, how will the points be distributed? The boy who could use magic asked again. Long Dang Dang vaguely remembered that his name was Longsheng, the one who could use the lighting technique. In the afternoon, I will give you news together. At the same time, Long Kong Kong's passionate voice was echoing in the first class of knights. I'd like to ask you a question. What is the sorrow of our first class of knights? Long Kong Kong stood in front of the podium, pressed his hands on the podium, and asked in a high-pitched voice. Compared with Long Dang Dang, Long Kong Kong, who knocked out the teacher that day, is undoubtedly more loved by his classmates, not to mention that there is no chance of jealousy here. Hearing his question, the students in night class couldn't help being stunned, not knowing how to answer. At this time, Long Kong Kong asked himself and answered, our greatest sorrow is that there are no girls. Hearing his words, the whole class burst into Hua, who was standing aside, opened his mouth, but still endured it. What are you laughing at? Can laughter solve our sorrow? No. What should I do? Let me ask you what to do. That's right. Monitor, what should we do? Some students asked with a smile. Long Kong Kong rolled his eyes, marriage. There are no girls in our class, but there are other classes. Magic class has the most beauties. Can it be cheaper for others? It must not be. It's all ours, and none of them can be missed. Outflow both our sins. The laughter of the students turned into surprise. What kind of marriage? What is the marriage? In the immediate assessment, we undoubtedly have an advantage. Since we have an advantage, we must use this advantage to earn the greatest benefit. Is our benefit the points? Points are nothing. There is a future behind us. With magic, is the teacher important? Today we use our advantages to protect the magician. In the future, there will be overwhelming wind blades and fireballs behind us. The assessment of the academy will never be like this. There will definitely be many similar tests in the future. It's time for our night charm. We have to use our actions to tell all the girls what we are. It's the man who guards in front of the girls. Speaking of this, Long Kong Kong's voice became high again. What is the spirit of chivalry? Bravery, sacrifice, and fearlessness. This time, we will show all the girls in the first grade what chivalry is. So, I have decided that this time, I will join forces with magic class to conduct the assessment together. The students in night class were all young, strong, and passionate. Under his series of passionate incitement, all of them suddenly became excited. A student sitting on the left said excitedly, "Squad leader, will the girls in magic class like us?" Long Kong Kong said disdainfully, "Let me ask you, would the magician sister find a knight husband or a magician husband in the future? Do they need to be guarded? If so, what do we do for food? In fact, I will make an evaluation if you are a magician." Perfect. Behind your shields, that's their magic bombing. Of course, the priest sister is also good. We protected the magician sister this time, so we are afraid that the priest sister will not come. What do you mean by more monks and less flesh? It means that the monk is not strong enough. It is to use actions to prove to the girls in the first grade that our class of knights is pure men who are willing to protect the girls at all costs. Let them see, what is chivalry? Let me ask you, do you want to do it? Do it. The whole class shouted in unison, and the sound was Wei Hua's eyes. These teenagers were like firecrackers that could explode at any. Is that how chivalry is explained? It seems as if, maybe, that's right. Wei Hua was even thinking at this moment, why didn't he meet such a monitor when he was in school? If he had, maybe he wouldn't be single till now. Long Kong Kong raised his hand, motioning for everyone to be quiet, and immediately, the whole class was silent. At this moment, his personality charm has fully conquered the whole class. One more thing, I want to ask for everyone's opinions. For this assessment, I hope that our class can donate all the extra points except the 5 points for completing the assessment to the girls in magic class. It is limited to girls. Because this assessment is an opportunity, not an opportunity for us to exchange a few points for elemental crystals, but an opportunity for our knights to shine with glory. This is my badge, and I will give it to the teacher. Isn't it 100 points? Donate it to we are in class, whoever has insufficient points will get it from me. While talking, Long Kong Kong slapped his badge on the table. Immediately, the students who had just calmed down became excited again. Boys of their age were impulsive and blind. At this moment, Long Kong Kong seemed to be shining all over their eyes. Let me just ask, is the squad leader good or not? Bull, the whole class roared. Fucking with brother, not only a little bit but also happiness. Yes, it's not the future, it's happiness. Those who talk about the future are fooling around, brother will bring you happiness first. Shifeng booed, boss, what is happiness? Long Kong Kong proudly said, in the future, when we become adults, we will be happy if we have a girlfriend. But now what we want to pursue is to have a childhood sweetheart. Without a childhood sweetheart, where will we get a girlfriend in the future? Brothers, come with me now, I will take you to the first magic class to see if I am fooling you, and let you see how beautiful our childhood sweethearts in the first magic class are, and how worthy of our protection. Come with me. While speaking, Long Kong Kong waved his hand, and under Wei Hua's dumbfounded gaze, he turned around and walked out the door with his head held high. Wei Hua really wanted to remind him, hey, classes are held, he still didn't say. At this moment, even the air is scorching hot among them has never seen any class of students who can have such cohesion, centripetal force and united will. Come on. A group of young boys rushed out screaming. 10 minutes later, there was the sound of neat footsteps outside the door of Class 1, Grade 1 of the Academy of Magic. Stand at attention. Bang bang. After 2 stomps, the outside became quiet again. Report, there was a clear and passionate voice from outside the door. Come in. Sai Yu said. The door opened, and a boy who looked exactly like Long Dang Dang walked in from the outside under the surprised gazes of the students in Magic Class 1. Long Dang Dang looked at his younger brother in surprise. Didn't he say that they discussed it during lunch? Here it comes. But when he saw the wildness in Long Kong Kong's eyes, he understood that this was the onset of social cow disease. This kid went crazy, and he couldn't control himself. Long Kong Kong walked to the front of the podium and stood side by side with Long Dang Dang. Hello, teacher, and students in Class of Magic. I am Long Kong Kong, the monitor of class, grade of the Knight Academy. Now, on behalf of Class of Knights, I promise you that tomorrow I will during the assessment, all the students of our Knight class will protect you with all our strength. We are willing to form an alliance with you and be the shield and sword in front of you. Moreover, all the points we have obtained in this assessment will only be kept what is needed for the assessment. May we help each other in the future and be united forever. Oh, forever alliance. If Long Dang Dang hadn't stepped on him, maybe he would have said something. Boom, 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 boom. The tall teenagers from the Knight stepped on the ground heavily and walked in his chest with his right fist. He gave a knightly salute to the students in Class 1 of Magic. The eyes of these young knights were shining with brilliance, and there was only one voice in their hearts. The squad leader is sincere and does not deceive me. This video will end here.